Do you think Seto Kaiba owns like normal clothes or is it all super flashy? Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank. I'm gonna let you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'd like to sit back in my squeaky chair, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you guys about work ethic and drive and the fact that you never really expect the workload you'll end up with if you choose to take the route of hobby business, regardless of what the hobby is: cards, video games, um, vintage models, sports cards, whatever. There's a lot of people out there who have aspirations of owning their own gaming store. You know, whether that be a retro gaming refitter store, TCG or Pokemon specific store, whatever have you. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are huge fans, who are very passionate about the games they play, the hobbies they enjoy, and they tell themselves that one day they are going to sit down and um, finally set up their own stand or store or even an online business. You know, there's all kinds of people who pop up all the time, really. New stores are a dime a dozen. There's always more of them, right? But just like how the average fan of a TCG sticks around for an average of 2 to 3 years, the average store only sticks around for about a year or so, maybe two if they're lucky. And I can say that I have some experience in that statistic because I, once upon a time, was a store that only stuck around for about a year. You know, there are a lot of factors that go into whether or not a store will make it, in a sense. That is, stick around for the long term, be around for more than 2 or 3 years, and become something of a established business. And yes, passion for what you for the hobby you set out to build the store for. That's of course required. It will be tested on several occasions. Don't you get me mixed up there. Your passion, your love for your hobby will be tested if you choose to open a store for that hobby. But other things you need to know beyond obviously business basics and um, things like filing your taxes, obviously, is just the sheer volume of work that can go into even the smallest of operations. You know, a lot of people uh, seem to think that this is somehow a very easy business to get into, that this is a um, quick and easy way to make cash. And it can be. Don't get me wrong, it can be if you are just flipping short term products by buying it off of big box retailers and flipping it online for a 10 to 70% markup. That can be quick and easy money. All it really takes is the gas it requires to get to Walmart or Target and just a bit of patience for that stuff to sell, right? But to sit down and establish your own card store or video game store, you know, because this is about any hobby shop, uh, Warhammer 40K store. Actually, I shouldn't talk about Warhammer because that is its own demon. Um, but any hobby shop is going to have a lot of extra effort, extra layers to your workload that a lot of people don't really seem to account for when they first set out to establish themselves as a business. And we're going to talk about some of that today, not really in depth, but you know, this is the start of the year, and one of the things that happens often at the turn of the new year is that a lot of people sit down, they buckle down, and they go, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna finally set up that business this year." And if that's you, you know, more power to you. I'm not going to try and tell you to not do that. In fact, I strongly encourage everyone to, at the very least, try, because hey, you might end up enjoying it, right? But before you do, uh, you know, don't just watch this video. Go watch any video by any established businessman or someone who's had experience in any of the hobbies you're seeking to build a store for. because there is a lot of free and easily accessible advice out there, not just my own. There's lots of stuff out there. But, I personally just want to say that you're never going to be ready for the sheer volume of work that can hit you some days. I am recording this at nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. This was an exceptionally busy day out of nowhere. There's nothing special about today. There was no new releases yesterday. There was nothing major being added to my inventory over the last week. There's been nothing crazy going on. It is just the start of the year. Some people have some extra pocket change, and so the volume of orders I've had over the last 4 days have been exponentially more than usual. And so I have been busier in the garage than usual. And that's something I account for. I always anticipate that there's going to be days where I'm more busy than I usually expect, and I try to take the time aside for that. But I learned to set my time aside for that. I learned to schedule out my time and remind myself that, hey, there's going to be days where you're going to be up till almost 2 o'clock in the morning just fulfilling orders and sorting and sifting through your cards. And it's not just order fulfillment. The order fulfillment is, in my opinion, it's not the easy part, but it's the last step of a very long process for me. Just my workload, just to help illustrate what I'm trying to talk about here. After I get a collection or a pile of bulk, or a new set comes out and the boxes arrive, and I have a pile of cards sitting, I have to sort them. If it's not all from one set, then it has to get sorted by set. Sometimes it has to be sorted by game first. I have to pull Yu-Gi-Oh cards aside from Magic or Lorcana or Pokemon or whatever have you. Flesh and Blood is in there a lot too. Set the stuff aside, organize it by set, and then alphabetically within the set if possible. That takes time. Sorting 1,000 cards is, especially if it's like really... So to give you a good example, Flesh and Blood has a lot of cards where there's 3 different versions of the same name for a card. A red version, a blue version, and a yellow version. So sorting like 1,000 Flesh and Blood cards can take upwards like a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes, depending on the set, especially if there's like a lot of repeats or whatever, and I'm just sifting through a bazillion cards. It can take surprisingly long just to sort through cards. Not crazy long, obviously. You can get through it in 20 minutes if you're just really putting your nose to the grindstone, so to say. But it can take surprisingly long. So there's the sorting process. Then there's the adding it to TCG Player itself, finding a box or finding someplace to store the stuff in your inventory. A lot of cards out. It is past midnight. Who are all these drivers? Doesn't matter. So after the sorting and after adding to the inventory and after having the patience to wait for the stuff to actually sell, then there's the, actually picking the stuff out of your inventory, adding it to an order, wrapping all the orders up in their plain white envelopes or bubble wrap mailers, because some orders are huge, taking it to the post office or taking it to UPS and getting it sent out. And that's just the easier part of the job. There's going to be days where you're doing a lot more complicated stuff. Not tedious or anything, but sometimes you'll get an order, or sometimes you'll have stuff show up that's from a game you've never recognized. So you have to do a bit of research. You have to try to figure out what things go... what goes where, so to speak. A good example is like... Man, I was super confused by the letter formatting for Force of Will way back in the day, because their U's looked like V's. So organizing that was a pain in the ass. It was crazy. You're not going to know, for example, what the rarities are for some games. So you're going to have to... Yu-Gi-Oh! Rarity Collection, for instance. There's like a bazillion different rares. There's like 7 different versions of a card in that set. So organizing it by the rarity can be a pain. Just small stuff beyond just the actual alphabetizing and organizing and such. Oh, and Magic the Gathering has like 6 different versions of every card. I dread getting new Magic stuff in. I always always gives me pausing to go, do I really want to do this tonight? Is this the thing I want to do? But that's just my workload. My workload, in my opinion, it's tedious. It can take a while depending on the set and depending on the day. But it's easy work. It just takes time, and it takes focus, and it takes a love of sorting stuff. There are going to be hobby shops out there that have a way more difficult time than I think than I would ever have. You know, a retro video game store, oftentimes they want to have someone on hand who can actually do repairs for those older video game consoles. I know that, sure, fixing an Atari up or fixing an NES up is relatively easy, but things like the Nintendo Wii and the Xbox 360, those are retro consoles these days. Fixing those is not an easy task. Those are complicated pieces of machinery. You know, traditional hobby shops like model train stores and miniature assembly shops, those displays they make, those have to take so much time and so much care to attention to detail. Absolutely blows me away. I could never have that kind of patience, I think, to sit there for potentially months on end assembling the perfect display diorama for my model train. I've got a lot of respect for those guys who still do that, because that is crazy to me, all honesty. You know, and more. You know, there's all kinds of hobby stores, there's all kinds of hobbies. You know, for instance, I don't know the first thing about sports cards. I watch a lot of sports card content because I'm trying to be as informed as I would like to be. But still, I would, if you dropped 10,000 sports cards from random stuff in front of me, I'd have no idea how to even begin sorting it. It would drive me up the wall. But yeah, the thing I'm trying to impart from this video, since I think I just rambled for 5 solid minutes, is sure, there's hurdles you're going to face. You're going to get chargebacks from bad faith buyers. You're going to get scammed. You're going to get stolen from. You're going to get bad experiences with distribution, bad experiences with the companies, bad experiences with repeat buyers. Regulars at your store can be great one day and then assholes the next. But the thing that I think you're never really prepared for when you go into this business is the time, is the workload. It's the even easy work, if there's enough of it, can feel draining at times. And you just have to steel yourself from the beginning to have more work than you might anticipate. Starting out with a few hundred cards on TCG Player or eBay, it's a side gig at that point. You know, it might take you an hour or two per day to do all the sorting you need to do and fulfill all the orders you need to. You know, nothing hard, nothing complicated. But at the end of, 5 years of slowly building up your inventory and accumulating the reputation you need and the store size, if you're getting a physical location, you're going to find that it's not a side gig anymore. It's basically a full-time job that you only have part-time hours for. So it can be demanding, it can be tedious, it can be the kind of work that makes you go, is this what I want to sign up for? And if the answer is yes, then I encourage you to give it a try, because again, it can be very rewarding. There's all kinds of fun benefits to owning your own hobby store, beyond just the love of the game, obviously. There's the collecting aspect, there's the meeting fun people aspect, there's the outreach you can have, because let me tell you, I've met plenty of people just through this channel that I enjoy having conversations with over on Discord. Shout out to the Discord, guys. By the way, that's the Discord plug. You should go join and hang out there. But yeah, if there's one thing I would impart to you with this video, it's not don't start a hobby shop. It's be prepared for a lot of the hurdles that a hobby shop will have for you. And don't just take my word for it. Again, go out and just listen to what people have to say when it comes to this business. The business of buying and selling collectibles, regardless of what that collectible is. Card games, video games, Beanie Babies, you name it. Mighty Beans. Does anybody remember Mighty Beans? I think I'm the only person on the planet who remembers Mighty Beans. Whatever it is, just make sure that you do have passion for it. if you're starting it for passion. Make sure your passion's genuine. And just remember that it's not going to be the easiest road, okay? So that's all I have to ramble about today. So thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end at the latest possible time of night. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you agree with me, disagree with me, think I'm crazy, whatever have you. I appreciate your comments, as does the algorithm. Check out the Discord again, check out the Patreon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.